Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, May the 13th. It just now dawned on me today is Friday the 13th.
The 13th?
Yeah. I hope you're not superstitious. Larry Brown is here.
I'm not superstitious.
Larry Brown is here. But you don't have a Friday the 13th story today?
No, I didn't think about that. We were just thinking about, it's a spring day. Let's do a spring story.
I don't know how it just dawned on me just as I was saying good morning and welcome. Today is Friday the 13th. Okay.
Well, there's a little bit of mystery in this story, so maybe it'll work okay.
Okay, so here is Larry Brown, not a Friday the 13th story, but it's a spring day story.
It was one of those relatively warm spring nights. The temperature was probably just a bit over 60 degrees and a bit humid, and I thought, the next morning will be the perfect morning to hunt mushrooms.
Oh.
And sure enough, I got up the next morning and it was a bit misty and the sun was just about to evaporate the dew, and got in my truck and drove out to my special place. You know, in the spring, I get that craving for morels. You know, I like mine. I like mine rolled in egg and cracker crumbs and fried in butter. That's how I like mine. And I know later in the year, in the summer, there are some good tasting mushrooms that come up. And I grow shiitakes, and in the spring and fall, I like them. But there is something about that craving for the taste of a fresh morel that always drives me to the woods. And so there I was out there that morning and headed for my favorite spots. Now, of course, you know I can't tell you.
No, nobody can tell.
No. That's a sacred trust. It may seem greedy and selfish, but it's a sacred trust. You protect other people's mushroom territory. So I went out to my special places, and the last couple of years were not good. I just didn't find the mushrooms the last couple of years that I normally do. And maybe it was the temperature, the moisture, or the cycles, and I'm always careful. I leave a few, so that the spores will fall down and get the mycelium and so on. Well, I went out to my spot, hopeful, but, a little bit worried. And sure enough, I went to my first spot, and there was almost 6 inches tall, was a nice yellow morel. Now, I, like many hunters do, sort of squatted down, looked at it for a while. Let your eyes adjust to that honeycomb texture to it, so that you'll know when you look around, you'll spot the other ones better. And I did that. I squatted down, looked at it, and sure enough, there was a few more. And I carefully got up before picking anything and walked around. It was a dead elm tree, which is a common place. And sure enough, there was a little patch of the little gray morels. This one was called black morels. They're not very big. And then I spotted over there some half-free morels. They have the long stalk and the tiny little cap on top. And I was careful. I was only going to pick a few. And then I spotted one that was a yellow morel that was over 6 inches. And I was just about ready to pick it when I heard something. Now, I thought it was a bird, a squirrel, a rabbit, or maybe a deer. And just as I was turning my head toward the sound, I felt something touch my shoulder. And I immediately turned around, and there was an elderly woman. And she had a shawl wrapped about her, and she had long gray hair that was kind of down on her shoulders. And she looked me in the eyes and said, "Did you hear them?" Now, I know this will seem strange to you, but I was speechless. And she asked again. Maybe she saw the kind of crinkles in my forehead, and she said, "Did you hear the mushrooms?" Now, I instead of asking, "Who are you and why are you here in the woods?" my mind started going off into, so what does a mushroom sound like? And I almost went into sort of this meditative trance for a while, and shutting out all the other sounds of the woods, and I did sort of hear a soft swishing sound, maybe like a gentle breeze through green leaves, or maybe grass brushing on your pant leg. And there I was sort of in this sort of trance, which was broken when she spoke again, and she said, "Only 12. Only take 12. Well, now that made sense to me. I mean, I always leave a few, as I said, about the spores and the mycelium, and I was trying to think about how many, and then she was gone. Just like faded away. Well, I went ahead and opened my bag up, and I had 8. So I found the best 4 that I could find, filled my bag, and drove back home. Now, when I got home and got into the kitchen, I went to unload my bag on the kitchen countertop, and it felt a little heavier than I imagined. And as I dumped out the mushrooms, well, there were my morels, my yellow and my gray, and it was like a rainbow of multicolored mushrooms. I mean, there was a... Now, I know some of you are thinking, you got into some different kind of mushrooms, didn't you? I said, no. There was nothing weird happened the night before. I didn't eat something strange. I don't know, was it hallucination or a dream or a fantasy, or was she a phantom of the woods or queen of the mushrooms with some sort of power of suggestion? I don't know. But when I dumped out those mushrooms, it was just this wonderful array. There was a golden hen of the woods. There was some cinnabar red chanterelle. There was even a pink tree ear, and there were white mushrooms. There were the pale yellow honey mushrooms. I was looking, and I realized all of these mushrooms are out of season. They'll come later in the summer or the fall. But let me tell you, it prompted me to think about some new recipes. I was trying some new experiments with these other mushrooms. It was just a bountiful harvest of spectacular mushrooms. Now, you're probably wondering about the morale of this story. Well, they were eaten also.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've got to ask you, Larry, is this a true story?
Paul, this is a story.
Oh, that's a good story. That's a good story. And, you know, it's true, when somebody finds morel mushrooms, they will not tell you where that spot is.
And some people just seem to have the knack. They go out and find, you know, as we say, oh, just went out this morning, got a grocery sack full.
I know.
But I never...
I have walked all over our forest, and I found 2 morel mushrooms in 20 years.
Oh well.
2 in 20 years. Well,
you know the spots, and there's some folks that have good spots and so on. But that's the springtime challenge.
It is. Good story, Larry. Whether it was true or not, it was a good story.
Well, all my stories have truth.
They have some truth to them, right? Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you here. Please come back again with another, maybe a summer story.
Well, we'll see.
All right. If there's something you'd like to hear or see, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. Bye-bye.